It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo.
Okay. All right, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
71045 Robert Wagner.
Okay, all right, Mr. Wagner, my name is Brendan Kelsey. Along with me is Mr. Roche. Ms. Pearl will be your panel, explain the process to you. We'll read some information into the record, have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond at the end. You can make a statement. We'll take a vote. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. We have Ms. Jill Pascarella with us. You can speak at the appropriate time. If you'd like to wrap up at the end, that'd be great.
Good morning. Yes, thank you, Mr. Kelsey.
Thank you. We have Ms. Laura Sanderson, Andrew Hunley, Jacqueline Bailey. Okay. And would you two introduce yourself in the back there?
Yes.
I'm Jacqueline Bailey.
And I'm Elwood Johnson.
Okay, you're the only one that have it. Okay.
That would be what I need. Say that again.
Said they all started.
Yeah.
So you don't have a seat.
Okay, she will explain what it is.
And we have, what's his name?
If I can get that information.
Mr. Grimes is here. That'll speak at the appropriate time. What's your first name, Mr. Grimes?
My first name.
David Grimes. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We'll let you speak at the appropriate time. You can have a seat right there.
I have my.
Sir, would you
Yes, sir.
sit down?
Yeah, we'll let you speak at the appropriate time. You can have a seat right there. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, Robert Wagner, DOC number 71045. You are a second class offender, parole eligibility date 6/17/2022, not eligible for good time, full term life. You can have a seat right there. That'd be fine. Yes, sir.
I have to take my time.
Yes, sir.
I'll be able to sit. I have restrictions
Yeah, go ahead.
in my knees.
Yes, sir. Okay. Like it, not eligible for good time, life sentence. Second degree murder or for murder. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you please answer Mr. Roche's questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Wagner. How are you?
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Wagner, you're currently 76 years old. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've been convicted of 2 felonies. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've been incarcerated for 54 and a half years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In the 54 and a half years, Mr. Wagner, you've accumulated over 150 disciplinary write-ups. The last one being March of 2018, some 5.5 years ago. So tell me, Mr. Wagner, why so many write-ups?
It took me a while to get it in some of the program, but after I found out how important it was and how valuable it was to me, I began to get in some of them one by one, like anger management, pre-release.
Mr. Wagner, I'm asking about your disciplinary issues, not your programs. So why so many disciplinary issues and so many violent issues in the 54 years of incarceration?
Thank you.
I was
Attorney,
I was,
would you explain to me exactly what I'm trying to get to?
Yes, sir. I think what he's trying to ask about is in the earlier parts, especially of your incarceration, besides the last 5.5 years, why were you having so many write-ups?
because of my side and my, the people that I was around and the way Angola was then, it was a very, very violent place in the 70s, the 60s, and whatever, you know. But as time went on, I began to change, you know. And victim awareness helped me a lot. Thinking for a change helped me a lot. And it's been over 5 years, I haven't had a write-up for nothing.
But you've had 5 or 6 in the last 10 years. And if my math is right, you had 5 or 6 between the ages of 65 and 71. And Angola had changed by then, and you still had write-ups. Why? In 2018, at the age of 72 years old, you had a fight. What was the fight about?
I was attacked and knocked out by an inmate. And I didn't initiate that.
Okay,
But
this one was dismissed because you were probably attacked. But in 2018, you had 2 contraband write-ups. What were the contraband write-ups about?
Those was my pills, and I didn't have them. They were prescribed for me. They were pain pills, but
Right.
I didn't take them. I had a moment, but I didn't take them.
Okay, I understand now. So explain to me.
So they ripped me up on them.
Okay, explain to me why you had an aggravated fight in 2018.
I was attacked by
No,
Scott.
so this is the one, not the fight, the aggravated fight.
Right. Yes, sir.
So what was that about?
Inmate either behind me and knocked me out with 2 locks. I didn't see him. And but
Mr. White,
I would like to explain the incident to you. We knew each other. We weren't enemies or nothing. The dude just took what you call a hit, like, you know.
okay.
But
Mr. White,
me and inmate had signed paper. Yes, sir.
Mr. White, 1 second. Juan Falco,
Yes, sir.
would you give me the details of the aggravated fight that occurred on February 18th, 2018?
He was housed at Elaine Hunt at the time. The above date and time, above name and number of offender. Hang on. Trying to make it out. It's a copy and it's
Okay, so really,
looks like another offender. Trying to read it, Mr. Roche, bear with me 1 second. Another offender came at him with a homemade weapon. It was a nine, looks to be a 9-inch knife or shank. Let me get to the. In this, it shows where Wagner used the knife, and he admitted that he had used the weapon to stab the other offender several times on February 18th of 2018. So according to the write-up, he was the aggressor.
It was the aggressor, okay? Because when I saw aggravated fight, that told me that he should have been the aggressor. Thank you. Okay.
Sure.
Let's move on from disciplinary, okay? Give me 1 second. Now, Mr. Wagner, your first offense was what, manslaughter? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you got a 10-year sentence, and you got out on parole. And shortly after you got on parole, you robbed Mr. Henry Grimes and murdered Mr. Grimes. Tell me what happened.
I went into the store that night and I only had a 22 pistol. And it wasn't my intention to kill Mr. Grimes. But I panicked, you know, at the age of 22, I panicked and I just panicked. I just went to shooting and I ran out the store. But I'm very, very sorry for that. And I was wrong. I was 22 at the time. And I'm 76 years old now. And I wouldn't do that no more in life, you know, because I'm sorry. And my heart goes out to him and the family. And I understand now that I took a man's life that I can't give back. I was young, I was stupid, and I made a bad decision. And it's been 54 years of hard, you know, suffering and pain that I called his family. I also called my family a lot of, you know, heartaches and pain. I was young, I just wasn't mature like I am now. And I thank God for giving me this opportunity to let Mr. Grimes know that I had no intention of killing his daddy. I went in there with a 22 pistol, not no, you know, 45 or AK or nothing. It was not my intention to kill Mr. Grimes. I just panicked and started shooting. And I cried out a nice thing about it. And the more I think about it, the more I shed tears, the more because I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I had no business doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Mr. Wagner, is that the only crime that you committed that night?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, yeah.
Did you not rob a ballroom by the name of the gay room that night?
I didn't do that. Freddie McCoy did that. That was none of me.
So you didn't go in and rob the barmaid of the $15. It was Freddie McCoy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Wagner, you pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Am I correct? Mr. Wagner, did you plead guilty or did you go to trial?
Sir,
Did you plead guilty or did you go to trial?
yes, sir. Guilty plea.
And what did you understand the sentence would be?
Uh, 10-6 life for the murder and 40 years for the robbery.
Okay, so you pleaded guilty to armed robbery and second-degree murder, and you were sentenced to life in prison under the 10-6 rule and 40 years for the armed robbery. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And
The
before
crime.
before the 10 years was up, the law had changed and life meant life. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's move on. Were you employed at the time you murdered Mr. Grimes?
Yes, sir.
What were you, where were you employed?
I was working at the lumber company in Zachary on Highway 19.
So tell me why a man with a full-time job in 1969 had to rob Mr. Grimes' grocery store.
Because I was very stupid and that was a bad decision I made.
Mr. Grimes, are you a trustee?
Sir,
Are you a trustee at Louisiana State Penitentiary?
no, sir.
Do you have a duty status or are you working?
I will do light duty work. Light duty work.
You were 22 years old at the time that you committed this crime. Were you using drugs or were you using alcohol?
Neither one, sir.
So you weren't intoxicated and you weren't on drugs when you committed this crime.
If I'm correct, we drunk a beer or two. That's all. You know, one beer. Remember.
Had you ever used illegal drugs?
Yes, sir. I was. I had to smoke marijuana a couple of times in prison.
Did you use drugs before you came to prison?
No, sir.
Have you used anything stronger than marijuana?
No, sir.
And when was the last time you smoked marijuana?
It's been a while.
Now, let's get to your programs. I see in 2019, you took Thinking for a Change, and then you took Thinking for a Change again and completed in 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You completed anger management, 100 hours free release, victim awareness, and you were trained as a healthcare orderly. Excuse me. At any time during your incarceration, did you work as a healthcare orderly?
Yes, sir.
For how many years?
For 4 years at Hunts. A patient care orderly for 4 years at Hunts.
So let's talk about your transition plan. Where do you plan to live and how do you plan to support yourself?
I beg your pardon?
Where do you plan to live and are you going to support yourself?
Hmm.
Where do you plan to live and how are you going to support yourself?
Well, I plan to, uh, go to the parole project, if I'm granted parole, then, from there to Las Vegas, to live with my niece.
So the residency plan to be on Fairchild is out. You're gonna leave the state and go to Las Vegas, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how will you support yourself?
I got support from my family members, Jacqueline Bailey and Dion Johnson.
Attorney Pascarella, question. He's been incarcerated for 54 years since he was 22 years old. He's not eligible for Social Security as a participant. Is he eligible for anything from Social Security or any other government agency?
Yes, I believe, thank you for the question, Mr. Roche. I believe that he is. I'll be honest that Mr. Hunley is the expert here, and he could probably address that better than I. But I'm quite sure he will have some benefits, and you'll hear from his family, who is, they're extensive and they're very well equipped to provide for him whatever needs he has.
Great, because I just want to make sure that he can survive if released, have a good place to stay, and a means of support.
Yes, sir, that won't be a problem at all.
Which is very important to me. Now, Mr. Wagner,
Yes, sir.
I have to let you know that you have an abundance of opposition to your release. Law enforcement is adamantly opposed to your release. We have 5 victim impact statements from 5 of the children of Henry Grimes Sr., who's adamantly opposed. And then we have 1 letter from a son of Mr. Henry Grimes, who is vehemently opposed. And I'm going to let him make his statement because he is present in the hearing room, and he will make his statement a little bit later on. But there is very strong, adamant opposition to any release for you, Mr. Wagner. I've not seen opposition this strong in a long time. So I need to let you know that and put that on the record. Juan Falco, do you have any comments, concerns, observations, or remarks?
Yes, he is a medium custody. He did obtain his medium custody January of 23. He's in dormitory. He's working on a line. He came to us. He came back to us. He was with us back from 70, I think, until like 2012, and then he was moved to other facilities. Came back to us in March of 19. Came back in as an extended max custody, and from 19 to 23, like I said, just recently obtained his medium custody.
Thank you, Warden. Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Andrew Hunley.
Andrew Hunley, Executive Director of Louisiana Parole Project. We're here today because of Act 544 of the 2022 legislative session. Act 544 was a bipartisan piece of legislation with buy-in from all of the stakeholders to correct a past wrong. Pre-1973, a life sentence in Louisiana was 10 years and 6 months. As Mr. Roche referenced, after 73, the rules began to change. But with Act 544, the legislature recognized that there were approximately 15 people who were still in the Department of Corrections who had pled guilty, accepted a contract with the state for that 10-6 life sentence in exchange for a guilty plea. And then the state had changed the rules. So the legislature wanted to provide a relief mechanism for those individuals. Most of those individuals have had their parole hearings. Mr. Wagner's one of the final individuals to get a parole hearing under Act 544. So Parole Project is here today to provide, to let the board know if Mr. Wagner is granted parole, he would go through our reentry program. We have spent a lot of time with Mr. Wagner over the last year. We have worked on a reentry plan with him. We're very aware of his record, but we believe over the plus 5 years, he's now at the age of 76. He has some significant health issues that he's experienced that I know Mr. Roche didn't cover, but his attorney may cover at the end that lead us to believe he's a very low risk to reoffend. Now, we have a lot of confidence too in his long-term reentry plan with his family in Las Vegas. If the board decides to grant him to our reentry program, he would receive all the services from our organization before he's would be transferred to Las Vegas. But we also recognize that this board may choose to parole him directly to Las Vegas. If that is the case, we support that plan also, and we would work with his family to understand the resources that are available to him in Las Vegas when he goes there. In summary, Mr. Wagner is eligible for SSI benefits immediately upon release, and I stand ready to answer any other questions that the board may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Norris Henderson.
Good morning. Yeah, I've been knowing Robert pretty much all my life. And I first met Robert in Angola. And I was listening at Mr. Roche when he was describing some of the altercations Robert had been in. And I think one of the things contributed to a lot of that, like Robert said, I mean, Angola in the 60s wasn't, a nice place. It wasn't a nice place to be, given his stature, always having to kind of like stand up for himself. The recent things, when he went to Hunts, the challenge became, sometimes your reputation precedes yourself. You be in a prison like Angola for years, and then you go to somewhere like Hunts or DCI, and everybody tried to figure out, well, how did you survive in a place like that? And to the extent younger guys start to challenge some of these older guys, and it brings on all these kind of crazy altercations. And it's like I said, again, these guys started to, again, like he admitted himself, being young and foolish. A lot of these young guys in prison are young and foolish, and they're willing to challenge older guys who've been in prison a long time just to see, it's like, how did you survive all that time? I don't think you're the person that people say you are. And so it creates problems for older guys who, at an age, who have been mentally conditioned to always stand up for themselves, to kind of like back down. And so you kind of like forced into some of these situations, because if you don't stand and you run, and then you got this other tag that goes along with you, that now you're checked out. And so when you get that kind of label, you're kind of like between a rock and a hard place. Given the fact that he's 76 years old, like Andrew said again, the state made a promise to him that do 10 years and 6 months, and during that policy, once you did 10 years and 6 months, you were kind of like automatically released from prison. The armed robbery sentence was 40 years. He'd done that day for day. And so really and truly, it's like, this hearing for him is almost, 40 years late in him coming. But like Andrew said too, he's almost the last 10-6 lifer within the state of Louisiana. And I think at this juncture, given his age, given him having a release plan at his age, the parole project would be definitely helping get jump started. But he has family in Las Vegas that's waiting for him. And the family members are not his older siblings. They're his nieces and nephews who've been coming to see him over the years and willing to take him in for him to enjoy the rest of his life in society. So I would ask this board that to consider these factors when looking at Mr. Wagner when making their decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Ms. Jacqueline Bailey, would you like to make a brief statement?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Jacqueline Bailey, Robert Wagner's niece / sister. I'm here today representing and supporting my uncle. This entire experience has been like a nightmare because we were shocked at the news and wondered how this could have happened because he had a beautiful child life, and we just wondered how this happened. This was not the Bob I grew up with, but nevertheless, I had to accept the fact that the crime had been committed. I had to accept the fact that he made some bad choices and missed many warning signs about certain friends he had gotten involved with. I must confess to you that we have been in great pain also. First, my uncle's choices of friends, his lost freedom at such an early age, and the pain he has caused the victim's family and our own family. But I'm pleased to report that the counseling sessions, the victims awareness classes, and Bible study have really helped him grow and mature. With our letter writing and visitations, he has shown great remorse and wish he could undo the bad choices he made and the pain he caused the Grimes family and his own family. My uncle has a support system. He has a community of family members that are waiting to meet him. He has a community of scholars who have gone on to further their education. And especially my daughter, who is a retired military Air Force brat. But they're waiting to share their knowledge, ideas, and aspirations to help him face the many challenges before him. We all want him to remember and respect the best of the past and invent an optimistic future. We will plan together, pull together, and always be open for discussion and always have respect for each other. The greatest benefit is to show team effort through unity and hard work. My future plan is to take my uncle back to Las Vegas, where I've lived for many years, and help him rebuild his life as he re-enters society. I moved back to Louisiana to care for my mom, who was gradually declining in health, and it was just the two of them.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I had to make the decision to care for her. And in my closing, I'd like to say we are constantly praying for the Grams family hoping that they form some form of healing and one day forgive my uncle for the terrible choice he made and will find it in their heart to forgive him. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, we'll hear from Mr. David Grimes. Would you like to make a brief statement? You got 3 minutes there.
First of all, my dad was a contractor. That store was a side job that he had after work.
Okay. Go ahead. Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Here, August 9, 1969, this man come in and robbed my dad for no reason. My dad was about to do a major construction on some rental property. That's building it from ground up. And these are jealous family people, the Wagners. I would like to stand in front because I can show you better. He came in and he murdered my dad. He brought my dad to take the money. The registry is open. Instead of him doing that, he shot my dad 2 times. And my dad was a big man. And if he had allowed a chance, he would have broke this man up in a million pieces. He disabled my dad. He got on the floor and stood over my dad. And he unloaded the rest of his shots in him as my dad was falling away. My dad was telling him, "Those are my kids. I have 2 boys here, Louis and Ernest. They were in the store. One was 14, the other one was 16 years old. So those are my, don't kill me, don't shoot me in front of my boys." Instead, he went on and did it anyway. And as he did it, he straddled over the back of my dad as he was falling away. And I knew what was possibly going on with my brothers because I had just gotten out of Vietnam. I was in war. I was in Tet. I earned a Bronze Star as a warrior. And I know what a medal will do to a body. And my boys looking at that awful sight of scene. It didn't do him any good. My mother, and brother, which was next door, they lived next door to the store. And they heard the noise, the shooting. They ran over to see what was going on. They meet Wagner at the door, and he was trying to shoot her. And he was trying to shoot her. And both of these boys, we don't know where they are from day to day. Louis, they both went on to college and got a college degree. Louis finished in horticulture. He worked 2 years and he walked off the job and said that he wanted to evangelize the 50 states. And that's where he went. He left there. He had a mental breakdown. He left there. And as of last year, I heard that he had went by foot, no automobile or airplane or anything, walking hoboing to all 50 states. He had, last year I heard that he had went to 49. And that was over that period of time, which was over 50-some years
Yes.
ago. And,
Yes, sir.
Amadeus got a degree in engineering. He went to, work for, General Motors in Ohio. After 2 years, the company called the family and told us to come get honest because he had a mental. Say that again. I thought they were given an opportunity to discuss what went on.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Sir, I'm in opposition of this man being out.
Yes, sir.
There were some things that were leading up to this that you need to know. And I feel that you need to know.
Yes, sir.
Because it's been
We have all the file. We appreciate you
Not
being
only
here.
he killed my dad, but he killed the rest of the family.
Yes, sir.
And we are all in a mess, but trying to reestablish life, which we have not been able to do. Now, this man is, whatever they say, his family is Leon Shows and Lily B. Show. During that robbery, they arrested this man at Lily B. Shows, which is his mother. I give it the information.
Yes, sir. We're familiar with the case. We have all the information.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
And she was harboring him. In other words, he after killing my dad, some days had passed, and they was hiding him out between Leon and Lily B. They lived in different at different addresses. Leon lived on Flannery Road, and Lily B lived on Church Street.
Yes, sir.
I have the address there.
Yes, sir.
And that's where they arrested him at. Now, after that murder took place, I want to draw your attention to this murder that this man committed on July 4th, 1965, at a place that he murdered Leroy Robinson.
Yes, sir. We're here for your case.
Yeah,
For your
okay.
case. You got about another minute, sir. You got about another minute. We'll wrap this up.
He was arrested at his mother's house, Little B. And now he was at what they call it back in those days with juke joints. It was very common back then. They didn't do any shooting that much, but they did a lot of cutting and stabbing. And this young man, he stabbed a man and got him disabled. And he stood over him just like the record shows that. He stood over, but because of witnesses that was taken from the report, he stood over that young man just like he did my dad. And he stabbed him. This is a serial killer here. And you all want to allow him to go, to be released.
No, sir. We're here just to hear the case, but
Yeah.
thank you for your comments. You go ahead and wrap it up. That'll be good. Go ahead and wrap it up.
Now,
We'll
Lewis,
wrap it up.
We have them. We're a family that live by faith. And, we picture Louisiana, which is a very rich state, blessed by God. But government and management is different. In other words, we look at the government being like Nebuchadnezzar was God's man
Yes, sir.
to punish his people. And Babylon was the country. And Louisiana is.
Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and go ahead and
I
wrap.
don't know why y'all so hard on me. And you didn't
No, sir.
with this man here. And he had an hour probably to.
No, sir.
And this is what we see. You're not. This man was paroled by you. And in less than a couple of months, he had to kill my dad. In other words, he was paroled you have the dates, you said.
We do, yes, yes,
And,
sir.
and in 2 months, he came in and killed my dad. And you're asking for mercy to
No.
allow this man.
No, sir. Well, thank you for your comment. We're so sorry, really sorry for your loss. Really sorry for your.
My dad was dead, is dead because of the parole releasing him.
Okay,
Dr. Pepper was the one that worked on in
okay.
order to get him released.
All right.
The record shows
Thank you
that.
for your comments, sir. I'm so sorry. Thank you for your comments.
I'm not gonna do that. If you want to arrest me, go ahead and arrest me. Yeah, okay. I know you do.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Wagner. Would you like to make a statement, Mr. Wagner, or your attorney, if she'd like to speak for you, that would be fine. Whatever you'd like to do, you guys can wrap it up.
Yeah, I would like to say, I taking up victim awareness and thanking for a change, you know, helped me a lot. And I just heard Mr. Grimes say it, and I'm still, I'm still sorry for killing his daddy. Yeah, I did that. And I
He got all being locked up.
Okay, that's okay.
He better,
Sir,
let him out.
Sir, we okay? We got it.
and I will
I'm ready.
would wish the many nights and days, bro, that I could bring his daddy back. I was wrong, man. I'm admitting I was wrong. But from the age of 22 to 76, man, I have changed. I'm sorry what I did. And I understand the way he feels. That's his dad, I understand the way he feels. But for 54 years of my life, man, I am not the same person. I regret for what I did. I take full responsibility for my actions, but I wouldn't do that no more, man, because I made a bad decision, and I'm 76 now, and I would love to spend these few years, with my loved one and my family,
Yes, sir.
and all right,
Okay, great. Mr. Pasquarelli, would you like to wrap it up briefly?
okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As you've just heard, Mr. Wagner, the events of that night, the terrible decision he made in 1969 still haunts him, and he has shared with me, as he shared with you today, tremendous empathy and understanding for the way that the Grimes family feels. 54 years ago, the state made a promise to Mr. Wagner that he would be released on this charge in 1980. That promise was not honored. And since then, the state has attempted to belatedly honor that promise in two different ways. One, by having this parole process here today. And second, by the district attorney not opposing Mr. Wagner's application for parole today. He has served 5 times the sentence he was promised he would serve. And despite that broken promise and the prison environment that he was forced to survive, he's here today humbled, remorseful, and ready for a chance to live his remaining years outside of prison. We've talked about it a lot, and so I'll just say it again briefly, that obviously the environment that he entered in 1970 at this prison was unforgiving. It was brutal, it was barbaric, it was a place where there was no safety. And to survive, he had to be hyper vigilant. The danger in the prison was particularly pronounced for Mr. Wagner, who, as you've heard and read, he was very young, he was very small, and he spoke with a stutter. Those were things that he could not control, but they were things that made him particularly vulnerable. And they also meant that his life in prison, even in that era, would be different than what other people's life in prison would be. And some of that hypervigilance did last for years. And Mr. Roche, I think Mr. Wagner was trying to explain the context of what happened in 2018. That was the result of a young inmate who had attacked him previously. And those are, some of what we've seen in his record, I think, is a little bit like scar tissue. They were perhaps overreactions, or at least what Mr. Wagner now acknowledges were the wrong reactions, but they were reactions to threats of violence. And we know now, I think, in this era in 2023, what fear and trauma does to someone. And when that develops, and Mr. Roche, you mentioned this, it can take longer to change, even when circumstances change, as they did here. And so when the prison changed, it took Mr. Wagner perhaps a little bit longer than others to change and adapt to this environment. When he went to Hunt in 2012, I think that new environment really helped him. He got involved in the Lifers Association. He got enrolled in pre-release programming. And at that point, Mr. Wagner had no hope of ever being released. But he began, as he mentioned to you, to see the value in DOC programming. And so when he came back to Angola, he enrolled almost immediately in Thinking for a Change in 2019. He did it again this year, and he did victims awareness. And as you see reflected in his disciplinary history, it really did help him. And as he mentioned a couple of times, it really helped him turn an important corner. Those first 30 years of his time in prison were long while the prison worked to change. But actually, those 30 years are where you see the majority of his write-ups. 88% of his write-ups were in the first 30 years. And only 11% of his write-ups were in the last 20 years, and just 4% in the last 10. So a disciplinary record where you see no change, that is a concern. That's a concern. But that's not what's reflected in Mr. Wagner's record. His record shows a difficult early period and a later period that evens out. And importantly, after taking out that DOC programming in the last 5.5 years, he has learned how to stay write-up free. And he has done that even in the face of harrowing personal loss of his sister, even in the face of the daily conflict that we know he experiences every day. He's still living in prison, and he's figured out a way to manage that conflict well, in a healthy way, in a way that doesn't run afoul of the rules, and in a way that I think shows us that he will be able to live safely outside of prison.
Yes,
in closing, I'll just say, obviously, a lot has changed in the last 5.5 years and 5.5 decades. And Mr. Wagner is one of the things that has changed. He has the eager and dedicated support of the Parole Project and his family. As Mr. Hundley said, we are confident in his success if he's released, and we hope that you will give him a chance to live his remaining years outside of prison. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, is the panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Roche.
Mr. Wagner, based upon your age, based upon the length of incarceration, based upon the medical issues that you have at the moment, my vote is to grant your early release. I'm granting your release because I don't think you represent a danger to society. And that's my paramount reason. If I thought you were a danger to society, I would not release you under any conditions. But because of the age, length of incarceration, medical issues, and you represent no danger, plus, as part of a member of the Committee on Parole, I want to play my part in honoring the contract that you entered in 1970. Because when you pled guilty, you were promised that a life sentence was 10 years and 6 months. And Act 544 sort of represented an opportunity for you to have a hearing today. And I want to play my part in honoring that contract that you entered some 54 years ago. Counselor, I want you to explain the two conditions that I'm releasing him under. The first release condition, it has to be before he's released, he must get an approved ICOT to Las Vegas, Nevada. I want him to go directly to Las Vegas, Nevada from incarceration. And I'm almost sure Mr. Huntley has contacts in Nevada that can help him with his transition. But I want him to go directly to Las Vegas, Nevada. Conditions after release. He has a curfew from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. Somebody our age needs to be in by 8 o'clock, and I don't think we need to go out before 7. The second condition is that he has no contact with any member of the Grimes family. Good luck, Mr. Wagner.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Wise?
Mr. White, first of all, I just want to speak to the Grimes family. My deepest condolences to you. And the law being the law, it just is what it is. And again, my condolences to the family, and thank y'all for your participation, ongoing participation in this process. But Mr. Wagner, I agree with my colleague. My vote is to grant as well for the reason that he's already outlined, and I concur with the special conditions. And as your attorney noted, the DA is not opposed because of the procedural history of this case. You have no opposition from the courts in this case, and you have no opposition from the sheriff's office in this case. You do have opposition from the local police department, but I do want to just express that on the record. And best wishes to you, sir. But my vote is to grant.
All right, 2 votes to grant. Also, I'm going to vote to grant your parole to the ICOTs in Las Vegas, Nevada, via 8 p to 7 a curfew, no contact with victim or victim's family. 3 votes to grant today. Your parole's been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank you.